Hey everyone, my name is Garrett Thill with Idaho Life Real Estate, and we have.
I'm Shelby Matson with Idaho Life Real Estate as well.
Hey, good to be here with you today, Shelby. So, today we are having a little discussion about our journeys because both of us are not from Idaho area.
Mhm.
So, we wanted to come to the viewers today who are possibly thinking about a move, maybe did make a move, and share our journeys, our experiences, and talk a little bit about our transition and how we can make that transition easier for people that are moving from out of state. How's that sound with you?
That sounds great to me.
That's great. So, why do you think, Shelby, it's so important to share, or why is this important and valuable to share our experiences today with the viewers?
I mean, moving out of state is big within itself.
Yeah.
And then if you add the complexity of having a husband or children, all of it, the full gamut, it becomes very overwhelming and a bit daunting. I do believe that making the decision to actually move, once you make that decision, everything else falls into place. But executing the decision within itself is the hardest part.
Yeah. So, let's go ahead and talk about that for a little bit here.
So, my family moved here approximately 4 years ago during the onset of COVID. And we had made the decision after our son, who's a baseball player, was afforded an opportunity to play in his age group of Little League down in San Diego, California. And when that happened and COVID hit, that was canceled. So we made the decision that we were going to relocate to Idaho after a quick trip instead of canceling our vacation altogether. When his baseball opportunity was taken from us, we came to Idaho.
Yeah.
And we toured it around. My husband did some growing up here, but up in the north side of Idaho, and had very fond memories. And when we came for our visit, we realized instantly that Idaho was where we belonged.
Was this only on your radar, Idaho? Were you visiting around different areas? Where were you looking at?
For us, it was Idaho.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, we did not come here with the anticipation of relocating.
Really?
It was a very knee-jerk reaction and something that we honestly don't ever do. We
Yeah.
did not plan it. It was just a trip. And while we were here, we decided maybe we'd look at a few homes. And we did. And we fell in love.
So, from the time you said we need to move to the time that you're here, how long did that take place?
Less than 30 days.
Less than 30 days. I remember hearing that. I just couldn't remember if it was
Yeah.
3 months or 30 days. Okay, that was
Yeah.
quick.
It was quick and scary.
Yeah.
For myself personally, I was in a career
Yeah.
for 23 years, had no anticipation of ever walking away from it. It's all I really knew. And with that, I was very scared and shocked.
Yeah.
I never, ever anticipated leaving the organization that I worked for because I
Yeah.
grew up there. And with that being said, I remember very clearly having this conversation with my husband after we found a house that we made an offer on. Are we really going to be doing this? This is nuts. And I'm so glad we did.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
great. So it's not just your son playing baseball, you have a family too. So what was everyone else doing, and were they on board with this move?
No.
That simple of an answer.
The answer is no. So
Yeah.
our oldest daughter was already in college, and she was going to a junior college and had just committed to going to a 4-year
And she was out of state still.
out of state.
Okay, and
Yeah.
where did she commit to going to a 4-year college at?
Sacramento State
Okay,
in
so still in state.
California.
Okay.
Which wasn't really far from our home, about an hour at the time. So we thought if she can't afford to live there, if we couldn't make that happen, we could definitely support her commute
Right.
going to and from.
Yeah.
So my middle daughter, she probably could have put pitchforks in my eyeballs for relocating her. I kid you not. She still is coming around, but it has really benefited her as far as academically.
Yeah.
There are many opportunities that we had no idea about for students in the state of Idaho, and our middle daughter, was able to seize those opportunities and has accelerated. And she graduated high school with an actual AA, associate's degree,
It's
for
amazing.
free.
It's
So,
amazing.
yeah, it was really cool.
And now she's going to school here, which is
She's at
fantastic.
BSU, Boise
That's
State.
great. Right?
Go Broncos. So we're super excited to have her close to home.
So how many years have you guys been here now?
4.
4 years. So I think you're going to have a great platform because when you guys moved, it was extremely nervous. I moved as well. I moved in 2018. So the journey was just as extreme. Not as extreme of a story where you're moving in 30 days. We did not have that at all. But Let's talk about for those people that have a good job. I know you like your job. You and your husband, Marshall, you guys had amazing jobs
Yes.
back in California. And it is scary because that's what you leave behind. That's what you're comfortable doing. And you're leaving those well paying jobs, they're steady jobs. You know that you can stay there employed forever. And you both are moving here to do now what? Right? You're moving here
Yeah.
for family, but we need to support each other. So, what was going on through your head? How did you guys plan that out in that 30-day time period? Or did you not even think about that until after you moved here?
Oh, it was definitely a thought.
Yeah.
I worked in the healthcare industry for
Mm,
23 years, and I knew working in the hospital setting during the onset of COVID, I knew I no longer wanted to be a part of that, but I didn't know what my new identity was going to be. It was a big change and it was very scary. And not only that, but I was also a provider to our family. My husband was the main provider, but I definitely brought a lot to the table.
yeah.
And so I think our biggest concern was I provided benefits in addition to income, and walking away from the benefits that I was able to provide for our family. It was huge and very scary. And ultimately, we had never leaned into my husband's medical benefits, but learned quickly that we needed to adapt and adjust and
Yeah.
figure out what that looked like, because what we had known through our entire marriage and even prior to was no longer.
It's a scary time because you
It
have
is.
one of the most important things people are thinking about is shelter. That's the very first thing you think about
Yeah.
that. But then you go, okay, our health, we've got kids, we have to take care of them. How are we financially going to be
Right.
doing
We
this?
have to make this work. It's a big step.
It is. And it's scary for those that may be listening and joining on this potential journey. I know a lot of people that are moving from out of state, including myself. We're considering other places as well. It wasn't just Idaho. So,
Mm.
what was it about Idaho? You came here, obviously, you clearly must have fell in love. I don't think you
Mhm.
just threw a dart at the map. Tell me more about why it was Idaho. And then when you came here, what was it about Idaho that you said, this is right?
My husband, like I mentioned earlier, he grew up coming here, but up to the north side near Coeur d'Alene and Pend Oreille Lake.
Hmm.
His family owned a cabin. And so he spent every single summer as a child growing up and going to Pend Oreille Lake, boating and just all of it. Just he loved Idaho. And I actually was a consultant for a company out here and was afforded opportunities prior to us moving or even considering it to train out in Meridian, Idaho.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah,
Before you moved.
before
Okay.
we moved. And so I remember distinctly going back home from one of my training events
Yeah.
and saying to my husband, Marshall, boy, if we ever did think about relocating, which I'm not trying to do, but if
Don't
we,
scare him.
I know, but if we do, I honestly would consider Idaho. And he asked me at that time, what is it about Idaho that you like? And I said, it's very clean. The people are genuine and kind. My group that came for the training a couple of different times, we stayed at different hotels, and every hotel that housed us, all of the employees and staff were, they bent over backwards to accommodate us, to share local areas for us to go tour and visit, which isn't unheard of when you're
Mhm.
traveling, but they really went out of their way to like take us places, just afforded us many things that we didn't even know existed when we came for our training.
Right.
And when I went home, I realized that the way people treated me without even knowing where I was from or what I was about were just so real and
Right.
authentic. And it just brought me closer to realizing this is where I would want to raise my children.
Yeah.
It was a different environment from where I had come from.
I agree. And I think that's what most of our clients and a lot of your clients, Shelby, they mentioned that sense of, camaraderie. You have Boise State. And I think we can all agree that you have individuals that are coming here for the same reason. They're all about family, the
Yes.
lifestyle. And while you and I both, we left a lot of great people back home, right?
Yes.
So we still
Yes.
stay in touch with
Yep.
amazing, amazing people still back in California. What I found here, tell me what your thoughts are, but kind of your sphere of friends that you had back in California, you find that very similarities of a majority of the people living around our area because you can connect so
Yes.
easily with people here. And I think, you have people that are moving for a very common ground reason, which are exactly the reasons that you mentioned. Going on that, obviously there's some unexpected things that can occur or that you didn't know about Idaho or the lifestyle or housing.
Yeah.
Was there anything that surprised you when you moved here that you go, gosh, I wish I maybe would have known that first before we made the move, or I didn't expect that about
Yeah.
living here.
Something that hit real home and real fast for us is we learned, coming from a family that was raising athletes, we learned that our hustle and bustle of the constant travel from where we came from really consumed our lives. We were very aware of that, obviously. But what we learned quickly when we relocated here to Idaho is we still had athletic children, and we placed them into their programs here in Idaho. And guess what? Sundays, no sports. What is happening? We were
Soccer.
like, what do
We
we
have a day
do
off.
with ourselves? I can actually do laundry? Holy moly. I mean, I remember just every Sunday night coming home, especially if we were going to the championship.
Yeah.
We'd get home at like 10 o'clock on a Sunday night and start all over on Monday. I'd get up at 5 a.m. to be at work by 7, and the laundry was piled up, and there was no meal prepping going on. We were literally living from hour to hour and in this survival mode almost. And I wouldn't
Nonstop, right? It's like you don't have a time to breathe.
nonstop.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change it for anything, but what I realized quickly is that Idaho really focuses on family first. Yes, the sports and all of the activities. I mean, we are an outdoor state. So regardless if you're in an activity that is consuming you Monday through Saturday, or you're just hiking the hills or going into the straits, whatever that looks like, to have a Sunday off to be able to do what you want and have family dinner and sit together as a unified unit was a huge shock. And had I known that, we would have been here many years ago. Many years.
Everyone says the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So when you moved here, you feel, okay, we have some pause in our life.
Yes,
We get to
pause.
enjoy family. There's outdoors. There's things to do rather than our routine. It's kind of a good way to take a life that you've been used to, and it doesn't throw a wrench in things, but it throws this nice little curveball to where it kind of puts things over on its side to where you get to see life from a new angle. Right?
Absolutely.
With kind of focusing in on your family because you're go, go, go. And now you get a moment of pause. I'm sure obviously the first 30 days you're going,
What do we do with
pulling your hair out.
ourselves?
Pulling your hair out.
We were literally
Absolutely.
like, what do
Yeah.
we do? And I'm like, I guess I should cook. I mean,
It gives you time to pause and think and go, man, life is, there's a lot to live here.
there is.
There's more outside of our, for lack of better terms, our bubble that where we're living in, back out of state. And you come here and you go, man, life is worth enjoying. Let's enjoy the smaller things, the family, the
It's
friends,
so
the
true.
culture.
It warms my heart because as a parent,
Mhm.
you want nothing more than to be present in your children's lives.
Yeah.
And I realized very quickly when we relocated here that having these crazy schedules that we were accustomed to, I felt like I'm at every activity, I'm supporting my children, I'm doing all the things I'm supposed to be doing, carrying a career and just balancing everything. But what I instantly learned when we moved here, and Sundays were a pause for us, Marshall and I had a very in-depth conversation about it. We weren't present, and Sunday allowed
That's hard.
presence.
Yeah.
Because even though we're sitting on the sidelines and cheering and screaming and so excited for all of our children's accomplishments, the discussions weren't there because we were hurrying up to get home to hopefully eat before 9 o'clock p.m. and then get stuff done for the next day. And what it allowed is Sunday family dinners, church, different activities that we just weren't afforded.
Yeah.
And it was the most amazing, and is still the most amazing experience to have as a family.
So just think about that for a second. It's really eye-opening because you're absolutely right. Is it fair to say that maybe you were blinded to the fact that you didn't have that in your life because of the hustle and bustle? And then once you came here, that's when your eyes open, you go, oh my gosh. Because we're so
Yes.
used to the ramped up and things are going on, our schedules are crazy. But once you have a moment to pause and reflect, it's not just about why don't we make this move earlier physically to Idaho, but it's why didn't we change our life earlier is what I'm hearing.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, that's good.
We didn't even know. We didn't realize it. It was our norm. I remember when our children were younger, my parents saying, you guys need to slow down. And it didn't resonate with me in the sense of I just felt like we were doing everything to fulfill our children's passion.
Yeah.
And I thought, we're trying to be good parents. But now that I'm able to step back, I hear them. I understand what they meant. Create a space for your family.
Yeah,
And I feel like that's what every Idahoan is trying to do.
absolutely.
It's just so important. Your neighbors are neighborly. Everybody looks out for one another. When there is downtime, I mean, our neighbors would gather every Friday evening. We would take turns from different driveways,
Love that.
and we would light a little campfire in our driveways, and we would hang out and have conversations about the week, and the kids would run around. It's just great. It's just a different way of living.
Yeah, it's totally different, and that's what it is. It's really about this lifestyle. So I want to touch about that because I know a lot of families that are moving here when they're making this move, their family is back there to where they're coming from, whether it
Yeah.
be Washington, Oregon, California, you name it, where they're coming from. So part of that concern is, oh my gosh, we're leaving family. So how easy or difficult is it if you wanted to, if you have family back where you're living in Northern California, how quickly could you get there? How easy it
Oh,
considering
gosh.
our system here that we have
Hop, skip, and a jump.
really is, right?
So Boise has an international airport, and if you get on an airplane and you fly into Oakland, California, it takes an hour and 11 minutes from gate to gate. So it's very quick. Your drive, depending on where you're at, I'll tell you, one of our daughters went to UC Santa Cruz for a brief stint. That drive from our front door to her dorm room door took us 12 hours, and that's with potty breaks. So it's all conducive and easy to do.
Yeah.
It just depends on, how often you want to do it.
Yeah.
But as far as like if you were to relocate and consider holding your job in California to sustain those wages, my husband did that for quite some time.
For a long time, right?
Yeah.
A couple years at least.
Yep. He commuted back and forth, and what it afforded him is an hour from door to door. So it's really not that big of a deal. And parking at the Boise airport,
Easy.
primo, easy peasy.
You know, the thing I when you drop off or I get dropped off at the airport, I mean, I in Southern California, I'm not sure, you'll have to tell me a similar destination where you're from in Northern California.
Yeah.
But for me, I tell people, the commute from Boise back to California to see families, friends, or a business that I have in California, it's easier and it takes less time than it would be from me driving from San Diego to LA. It was that simple. Plus,
Absolutely.
you're not don't have the stress of driving.
Yeah.
There's literally you get dropped off curbside.
Yep.
If you have carry-ons, easy. There's Southwest,
easy.
Alaska flies there direct to
Yeah.
California
Yeah.
and Oregon, Washington, all day long, multiple times a day. What would the commute be similar to you in Northern California? From what city would you say it's easier to fly from here back to Oakland?
Yeah, for sure. So we lived in a little community called Benicia.
You're right.
It was pretty much smack dab in the middle of Sacramento, California, and San Francisco, California. So my husband, his office was in San Francisco, and it would take him upwards of 2 hours to get to and from work, depending on whether or not there was an accident on the bridge.
Sure.
So
How many miles was that, you think?
maybe 30, 32
Not
miles.
that much.
Not
Not
that much.
And over 2 hours.
And over 2 hours
Okay.
coming and going. And here we would take him to the airport. It would take us 12 minutes to drive from our home to the airport in Boise. He'd get on the plane. He didn't even have to go 2 hours to the airport prior to his departure. He would go maybe 15, 20 minutes. It's just an easy airport.
My wife hates me for doing it, but I literally will walk through it's so easy at the airport. If you get the TSA pre-check is something like you almost don't even need it here.
I know.
But I pretty much get to the airport about 10 minutes before they start boarding, walk through TSA, walk straight to the gate, get on, and it's just an easy hop, skip, and jump. I can relax, get the computer out, get my phone out, listen to some music.
Yeah.
It's an hour and 40 minutes to Southern California. What is it to Northern California?
About an hour and 11 minutes.
An hour and 11 minutes.
Yeah.
So, and that's some time to relax. You get off the plane and there you are. You get on the BART wherever you need to go, right? So it makes it really easy. So let's shift gears for a second here. So I know one of the common things that we get is they want to know the climate, right? You have some that are coming from, if you're from Oregon or Washington, it's not going to be that much different. But if you're coming from, say, a warmer state, how did you and your family adjust to the climate? Was it what you expected? Pros and cons? What do you think there?
Yeah. So coming from California, I mean, let's face it, you can't beat the weather. Right. Northern California, you'd wake up in the morning, you'd have a couple of layers on, and by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the sun was shining. It was beautiful, warm, nice breeze.
Can't
I lived
beat
on
that.
I mean, you can't beat it. So comparing it to California is a little challenging, but what you should know is there are 4 seasons here. And the beauty that each seasons bring is magical.
It really is.
especially winter. And I am not a winter person. I just think the snow is just enough to look out your window and embrace the magic that it brings. And then by mid afternoon, you're in your car trucking around doing your errands.
Yeah.
It's just enough to just be beautiful. And you can go up into the mountains and enjoy it, or you can stay in the valley and work and do everything else normal. And as far as the transition from summer to fall, breathtaking.
The best.
I've never experienced anything like it.
Yeah.
And I'm a spring girl, but fall is becoming one of my favorite seasons here because the transition of the leaves changing, the vibrancy of the colors in them. Oh my gosh.
Family portrait season.
Woo!
We got ours on Sunday.
Yeah.
It's beautiful for
did?
it. We're on this coming Sunday. We're gonna do family
Oh,
portraits.
fun.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's so cool. Yeah, family portraits. As a matter of fact, going back to my daughter, one of them, she loves fall here so very much, and she's a California girl, if you will.
She is. I know her. Yeah.
I mean, to the heart. And with that being said, she was like, I don't want to do spring senior portraits. I want to do my photos in the fall because
That's
of
cool.
all of the colors. And they turned out magnificent. It's just so special here. Your summers will run hot, but only for a handful of days. And I say that meaning over 100 degrees. Usually it's very comfortable. There are some hot days here, but overall you just get the beauty, and you have water, lakes everywhere. It's just it's magical.
A couple things I want to add on to that is winter is the shortest season, which to some people they complain, they want the winter sports, they absolutely love it. And if you don't like winter sports, so many people adjust into it. They get into snowmobiling, skiing,
Yes.
snowmobiling. You've got Bogus Basin, which depending on where you're at, you could be 45 minutes to an hour away.
Yeah.
Hop up to the mountain. You have night skiing, you have day skiing, go up there. I know people that go there before work. They go there right after work.
Yeah.
It's really neat. So you have
accessible.
the 4 seasons, which you have things to do in every single season, which is great. And those over 100-degree days, they're really not that bad because
They're
it really
not.
doesn't get 100 degrees until very late in the afternoon.
You're right.
But what we found is that, we were a couple hours away from the coast living in California. However, lakes and rivers were not our thing. We didn't realize that. And lakes and rivers are amazing. You can go up to the mountains here as well, head up to McCall. It's a beautiful little vacation town. We both love it. We both know the Shore
It's
Lodge.
like a
an
little miniature Lake Tahoe.
It is. Yeah.
It is so adorable. And I would say, would you agree that it's more of the north side, Lake
It
Tahoe?
is.
It's quiet
Exactly
and
like
kind
the
of
north side.
sleepy. It doesn't have the casinos or any of the lifestyle like that, which is fun.
Little
But just kind of a little bit of both. It's just so wonderful.
Yeah, I love it. It's great. So let's talk about this because I know you don't want to tell and toot your own horn here, but I think you can provide a lot of value. And I've heard Shelby's clients, they come into the office and they talk about how they're really able to make a connection with you. Now, I know you help out a lot of locals as well, but a lot of people are relocating and you're able to make that special connection. What do you think it is? What kind of value are you able to add to those that are making that move too? Because it's obviously very scary and they're leaning on someone to trust. What kind of value do you think that adds because you made that same move years
Sure.
ago, not too many years ago, to help them out, maybe feel a little bit more at ease?
Well, I'm able to share with them that Sundays are calm and afford family opportunities, which I did not know in the beginning. But more importantly, I can identify with them and nurture every step of the way because I've lived the relocation myself.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just me, it was our entire family. It is scary and validating that I think it's needed. It's very scary walking away from family, friends, everything that you've known for me, it was my entire life.
Yeah.
And I'm no spring chicken. So I lived in California forever. And for 46 years. I lived in California, and then here I am. And so with that being said, acknowledging and validating concerns, being able to talk through things and guide them, and also being their boots on the ground when they have to go back.
That's a good point.
Just being the pulse for them and monitoring everything that they are desiring, and also making sure that all of the business is being taken care of and they feel confident in knowing that they can move forward into this transition because I'm doing everything that they can't do while they're at home packing to relocate.
Yeah, I think it's a huge benefit to have that kind of a outsider perspective, if you will, from being out of state to moving here. I think it's very advantageous because there's things that Now, granted, we have a lot of great local real estate agents that are at
Oh,
our office.
wonderful.
Absolutely
So
amazing.
many.
Having a little bit of that empathy because there's so much fear involved with making the move. A lot of unknowns where I've heard you on the phone, I've seen you with people in person. You're able to tackle every single one of those fears because you lived it.
I
And you
did.
lived it to the extreme. You didn't plan this out. This is not a 3-year plan. This is about a 30-day plan that you had. A little crazy.
Cuckoo.
And if you can do it and with everything that you went through, 2 amazing jobs that you guys had,
Mm-hmm.
kids very, very happy, kids in sports,
Mm-hmm.
relocating the family here. I know your parents got up here as well,
Yep.
other family up here, which is amazing. So you've experienced all the fears, conquered all the
Yes.
fears, and being able to put those at ease. And we could be here for 3 hours to talk about all the fears that everyone has,
Yeah.
but being able to work with someone like you that has been through it and just putting those at ease, or at least talking them through it, because
Mhm.
maybe relocating isn't for everybody. I
For
think the thought
sure.
comes up, and it's not for everybody. However, if you want the things, the different lifestyle, the different climates, to be a family oriented community, maybe you want to take life and slow it down a little bit to become aware, self-aware of maybe what you are missing out on life. And that's
Yeah.
what happened to us too. It made us really reflect on what's life about, because lifestyle is such a thing here. Family is such a
It
thing.
is.
It just makes it's
It's quality.
quality is
Quality
that's a
life.
good word of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of putting you on the spot here. I know you didn't see these before, but if you had one piece of advice to give a family relocating from out of state, what's one piece of advice you could give them?
I would say to breathe through every step, and regardless of who you hire to help you relocate in real estate, make sure that their morals and ethics align with yours and that they understand the physical relocation part of it. Understanding the depth of what it takes, what insurance company to lean into if you've only had one specific insurance company all your entire life. That's a big deal. Having that person that can help you pivot and know where to go so when you get here, it's very seamless.
Yeah.
I think it is so important to understand and have the resources available to you so you don't come in here completely blind, and just know every step of the way that your agent or whoever you've leaned into to support you through this relocation is going to be there, not just during when you're gone and coming, but every step of the way afterwards.
That's fantastic. I love that. And we want to invite, and I'm going to, on behalf of you, invite our listeners to call Shelby. Her number is
Please.
at the bottom of this video. Call her. I hear her on the phone. I'm, down the hall, and I hear her talking to potential relocation families about working the way through their process. Now, granted, most people that are going to be listening to this are not 30 days out. They're planning to see 2, 3, 4, 5 years out, and starting the process earlier, the better is one of the recommendations I would
Yes.
make, because there is a lot of planning. I know most people, it's taking kind of step one by one in order to get here really is helpful. Maybe making a trip out to come see you. I'd recommend maybe a consultation call. Would you recommend that first about your move and about maybe if this is the right move for them?
I would. And one of the things that I do, and I would encourage you to do if you are considering relocating to any state, is what I do is I invite you to come out. I will pick you up from the airport. I will take you to your hotel, wherever your Airbnb, wherever you're staying. And then I will actually tool you around the valley so you can see every city. Prior to that, I will send out a relocation guide so you kind of have an outline of where we're traversing through. And this way, it will help you really parenthesis where you want to land if you decide Idaho is your spot.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's extremely, extremely helpful. So make the phone call, talk about the move, what the plans are, even if it's 3 or 4 or 5 years out.
Absolutely.
Make the trip. So they need to know, you need to know what their flight number, what day they're coming in, so you
Yep.
can mark it off on the calendar, mark
Yep.
at least a half day off on the calendar for
Mhm.
Shelby for when you come wheels down, or if you're driving up. It's really not that far of a drive depending on where you're coming from
It's
as
really
well.
not.
And then take that half a day or full day with Shelby.
Mhm.
Make sure she buys you lunch. So yeah, she's got some good spots. Maybe tour a winery depending on the time of year.
Oh,
but
yes.
she'll always take that up. So yeah, we invite you to call, Follow Shelby on social media. She takes her journey here and shows you how other people that are relocating from the area. That's really her specialty as well. So I just want to thank you all for listening today.
Thank you.
Shelby, thank you so much for talking to us and talking to all the listeners out there that are considering this move, or maybe you've already made the move and you're just wanting to make sure that, yeah, we did make the right move. And
Yeah.
if you have any family that's looking to move here and they want to put them at ease, because I know it can be difficult to get that family to come over here, and we all want family to come here. I mean, that's probably one of our heart's true desires. Once we slow down on those Sundays or days off, we go, man, we need to recruit more people to come
Yes.
here, honestly, because we want them here because they're missing out. They
They're
just don't
missing
understand.
out.
So
Yeah.
if you need help on having your family members or friend and you need to recruit them to get their butts over here, have them give Shelby a call, or you can call Shelby and say, how do I get my friends? How do I get my daughter here, my son, my aunt and uncle? How do we do that? She'll have a great talk with them, and I promise you they'll have their flight booked here within the next couple of weeks, because it just sometimes it just needs someone kind of pushing them over the edge. So
Yep.
anyways, anything to wrap it up, Shelby?
I just want to say thank you so much. And if you do have any questions or you've relocated and you're not sure which direction to turn in because you're still trying to acclimate yourselves, feel free to call me. I'm happy to offer resources, even if we didn't work together in the past. I just want you to feel supported in every step of this journey.